Well, good morning and welcome to Jolene. It's absolutely freezing outside and the engine is just warming up. Just. But it is very, very, very cold outside. I think it's trying to snow. And that's why I'm filming this video now. I usually, with these videos, wait until I have some nice warm weather to film in. Not today. Because I might not get another chance, and I don't want to do a video in the snow. I know a lot of people would love that, but yeah, I don't want to do a video in the snow. So now it is. So we've got our freshly rebuilt 425cc engine, and hey, let's see, is that jumping out of nowhere? And it's brilliant. When I first started driving it, I'll be honest, it had a lot less power than it had before the rebuild. That's because the piston rings weren't bed in at all. But now it's just starting to bed in, and it feels loads better. We've actually got pulling power. In fact, this is quite a steep incline, and we're going up in third, which is brilliant. Look at that, not struggling, not nothing. Torque, actual torque, and that's the thing that you're missing when you first start the engine after the rebuild. You've got no torque at all. By the way, if it's a bit noisy, I've got the heater on, and look, if I turn the heater off, you'll hear this noise difference. See that? Yeah, that's the noise difference of heater and no heater. But it's cold, so I'm putting it back on again. Now, at least this one. So, now we've got engine in stereo. So when you first started, there's no torque, there's no pulling power, because the piston rings haven't sealed, but we've done a few hundred kilometers now. I've driven it every day and as much as I can. And in that time, there has been a teething period, as there is whenever you rebuild anything. Now, the first thing that happened is, before I even drove it, the piston ring, the push rod seals, which there are tubes. If you've watched the video with the head, there are tubes that run under the engine. Those have push rods in them, and those push rod seals weren't sealing. Now, of course, if you watch the rebuild, you'll have seen that I put brand new push rod seals on it. And those brand new push rod seals decided not to seal, basically. And when we inspected them, compared to the old ones, they were very flimsy and weedy. And so I actually used the original Citroën push rod seals from the engine under the bench. Yes, the push rod seals that were dug out of a farmyard floor. And it's sealed perfectly now, absolutely brilliant. And I also, when I started driving it again, let's have some revs. I want to drive a bit quicker just so I get a bit more heater. But we also had a leak from the rocker cover gasket as well, which I nipped up yesterday in a car park. And it had leaked a little bit, but luckily I've got oil in the back. I'm actually carrying oil with me just in case, and a bunch of extra tools as well, even more than I normally would. And then yesterday I went for a drive and I had the other side leak. And the other side is a bit trickier because you've got to take the wing off to get to the nut on the top for whatever reason. But you've got to take the wing off to get to the nut on the rocker cover. So I ended up having to take the wing off in a lay-by in freezing temperatures. So that was fun. But that sealed and I drove home and I had a loose wire as well. A loose connection. And I've sorted that out this morning. So yesterday I nearly ran out of electricity. So yes, it has been a teething process after rebuilding the engine, but that's what you expect. You expect that, you know, there are that many connections and that many things that you have to take apart, put back together again. There are going to be some things that need tightening or shake loose or whatever, especially with the new piston rings, because I'm driving on slower, rougher roads. But not just that, as the piston rings bed in, I tracked that in the past, thanks dude. There are gonna be some things, and as the piston rings bed in, the engine becomes much smoother. And so the more I drive it, the smoother the engine gets. But in those early days of the piston rings bedding in, like, some things are going to shake loose. It's just the nature of the beast. I'm not at a stage where I can tell you if the softer valve springs have hurt peak performance. And like I said, the torque's just coming in. It does seem a lot more responsive though, which is what I'd hoped. And that is the softer valve springs. That quicker engine take up, like that response, which early 2CV engines have really slow throttle response because of the length of the intake manifold. It gives you more torque, but it does mean that your throttle response is laboured. That slower throttle response is much better thanks to the softer valve springs, because the engine can respond much quicker. And that is noticeable instantly. But like I say, I haven't had it over 85 kilometers an hour yet, which is just over 50. And that's because she's bedding in. And speed in this car requires revs. And I'm not going to rev it much yet, because like I say, ideally you have to keep it under about 4,500 RPM while the piston rings bed in. Numerous different people say numerous different things, but it's about 4,500 RPM. And I've been driving on some quite, well, as back roads as I can be really as well, so, you know, you're not going to get that much speed out of roads like this. You do get some sliding about though, which is nice. I've owned this car for nearly 4 years, and before I bought this car, I'd never driven a 2CV before. My first day driving a 2CV was in the middle of Clermont-Ferrand, which is a busy and very industrial city. It's where Michelin tyres are from, and I had a dodgy throttle return spring, I had a dodgy carburetor, and yeah, it was a traumatic experience, to say the least. No, it was very stressful, and these old 2CVs aren't the best in the city to begin with, and then add a dodgy carb into that, and it was a very emotional day. And I've never been to Clermont-Ferrand before, I had no idea where I was going. But I do love this car. This 2CV is absolutely fantastic. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my parents' Diane, and I pretty much love everything that I drive, to be honest. I have some very good friends with some very nice cars, and fortunately, whether they're on video or not, I do get to drive cool stuff quite often. And I will hopefully, because pandemics and stuff, hopefully in the coming year I'll get to do more car reviews, to really miss doing those. But no matter what car I drive, I get home in this car. This is my everyday daily driver, right? And I get in this to come home, and I'm just smiling from ear to ear. This is one of the best cars I've ever driven. It is incredible fun to drive. It is incredibly tiring to drive. There isn't a moment when you're driving this that you can relax. You're constantly paying attention to everything you're doing, way more than the Diane. But I just love it so much. It's like a Land Rover had a baby with a Citroën, and it's superb. Because it does everything that a short wheelbase Land Rover will do, as far as you know, boot space and stuff. Why are you letting me out? Thank you. little tractor letting me out. This tractor's everywhere. People are working. It's Tuesday morning. But yeah, this little car does everything that a short wheelbase Land Rover will do, as far as the amount of stuff that you can put in the back. But it's light, it's nimble, it's responsive, it handles. It's not, it doesn't drive like an old Land Rover. And I love old Land Rovers, but they aren't what you'd call good, as far as a driving machine. They are a tractor that has a number plate on it. And is slightly warmer than a tractor. You know what I mean? They're a slight upgrade to a tractor as an old Land Rover. They are not the ultimate driving machine. They aren't responsive, they don't corner and handle. Whereas this does. People can say what they want about 2CVs. These early cars, they drive well. And there's a reason why people that work at magazines like Evo, famously Chris Harris has a 2CV of Top Gear. Andrew Frankel, who used to be, I think, editor of Evo magazine, he has one. Famously, they've done videos together. Andrew Frankel has the same engine as Jolie in his car. This is a very steep hill now. This is a good test of the torque. I'll put it down into second, because this is very steep. Don't want to rev too much. Currently doing 30 kilometers an hour, apparently. That might be a bit optimistic. She got up it though. Hey. With a bit more of a run up on a slightly drier day, we might have got up in third. But these are such fantastic cars. Really, really fantastic. And a bunch of people out there wanted me to be doing Pandora videos now. I'm working on Pandora, but I couldn't do that without this, because this is my only car. This is my daily driver, and so the energy had to go on the car that worked rather than the car that didn't. But what a car! I love it. I love this car so much. And if you've never driven one, it's hard to explain, because, and this is the problem with car kind of media in general, is that everybody in the car world does everything by numbers. It's all paint by numbers. It's all what has more brake horsepower, and this has more brake horsepower than that, so this must be a better car, and all that kind of thing. And it's just not the case. Come on, good girl. Hey. You have to be slightly more careful with the clutch because she's bedding in. She's slightly more fidgety off the line because, like I said, the torque just is slowly getting there. But what we're saying is, the car world is very paint by numbers, but that doesn't tell you how a car feels. That doesn't tell you how a car corners, how a car carries speed, what the steering feels like. A 0 to 60 time is almost irrelevant, because the fact is you don't go from 0 to 60 very often. Well then, which way shall I go? I'm going to go this way. You very rarely go 0 to 60. It's usually, 40 to 60 or 30 to 60 or, 50 to 75. So 0 to 60 numbers might as well not exist. Right? They're kind of pointless. They're a good basis for index of performance, but that's about it. How a car carries speed, how a car carries itself, how the steering loads up as you put it through a corner, the way that the gearbox feels, the spacing between gearing, like this is the stuff that really matters. And apart from the spacing between gearing, that was a big buzzard that flew across the road then. Apart from the spacing between gearing, the 2CV is pretty darn good. I've just realised The windscreen's mucky in front of the GoPro. There we go. Apart from the spacing between gearing, the 2CV is fantastic. This particular 2CV especially. And we're warming up now. 2CVs take a while to warm up. They don't like being cold. And she's very slow when she's cold. As soon as it starts to warm up, it's just fantastic. Right, I'm just going to pull in because apparently I have a charging problem. Do I have an indicator? I have an indicator. My fuel gauge has gone dead. And my fuel gauge going dead is usually a sign of problems. So, I shall return momentarily. Oh, it's working now. We may have a loose wire. It's fine. After such a lot of work, it makes me very nervous. Every noise, every clunk, every anything. You know, the fuel gauge is dancing about. Now, I've got about half a tank of fuel, so obviously, if I'm going around corners, my fuel level's going to be doing this, and my fuel gauge is going to dance around, and sometimes it does get a bit stuck. This is the first 2CV to have an electric fuel gauge, and of course, this car has the larger fuel tank in it. This car actually has a plastic fuel tank, so the fuel sender isn't the same as the fuel tank. And so they can get a bit, it gets a bit lost sometimes. Right, but this just shows you the performance. We are going up this hill in 4th gear, doing 70 kilometers an hour, approximately. That's not bad, is it? Uphill. She'll get better and better and better. I just wanted to go for a drive, to be honest. She needs miles on her. That's what she needs. But I'm loving driving it. Bouncing around on hammock seats. One of my next jobs to do on this car will be the interior. I really hate these seat covers, and they've got to go, and I've got to replace them with something better. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'm slowly formulating a plan because I don't want to replace like for like, because these are terrible, so I want to go with something different and hopefully better. This is terrible. I mean, there's a big crease in this seat here, and it's the most uncomfortable thing to sit on a big creased seat. And these are 2CV6 covers that were put on this car, and there's part of me that wants to go back to originality, because I like newer, but only where it's better. And this definitely isn't better. And actually, one of the most comfortable 2CVs I've ridden in is Tetanus, Guillaume's car. There'll be a video to Tetanus at the end of this. But that car has the original seat covers from 1959, and they are beautifully bright. This is going to be quite a test now for little Jolene. We have traffic behind us, because of course we do, and these are some tight switchbacks. And yes, these are the local roads I drive on every single day. Now we're going to drop it down to 4th. Sorry, 3rd. I'm concentrating on what I'm doing and not what I'm saying. And up she goes. There we go. Very steep hill. Not holding up traffic. Wonderful. And back into 4th. what an absolutely stellar little car. And we're currently doing 60. Tetanus, Guillaume's car, one of the most comfortable 2CVs I've ever sat in. It's such a comfy car. And those seats are completely and utterly knackered. And very worn in. Very, very well worn. Even the little rubber donuts are the original little rubber donuts that are on the seat that hold all the seat together. But it's so comfy. So I might actually go back to the original hammock style seat, but a fabric one. Because I've also sat in Pierre's van in vinyl hammock style seats, and they were horrible. I don't like vinyl seats to begin with though. So yeah, if we go for the hammock style seats, we'll definitely go for fabric, because I added extra padding to these seats and they're still not as comfy as I'd like them to be. Being big, it's lifted me up higher, and I'm sat on wrinkly, weird seat covers, and yeah, it's not good. But they're alright. It's alright for now. It's not uncomfy. And having the bench seat it's great when I'm driving, but when my partner drives, she's a lot shorter than me, and so I end up with no legroom. However, I do use this car to upload videos. I upload videos remotely because I have no home internet, because I live in the middle of nowhere. And because of that, the bench seat really does come in handy, because I slide the bench seat right back. And if you're a person that ends up sat in your car for long periods of time, having the bench seat and having legroom is wonderful. I've got a lot more legroom in this than I do in the Diane. This car feels a lot bigger inside than the Diane does. And driving the Diane, I've missed the space. I know that seems funny, because they are pretty much on the same chassis, both cars, but this car is bigger inside. It feels bigger. That you feel like you have more space. And even though it's not perfect, I do love it. To think that I've rebuilt this car with a few €100 worth of stuff from a 2CV specialist and parts from an engine that was dug out of the farmyard. I mean, you can't ask for more than that. And I did it myself without an engine winch and with no special tools, really. And she's just getting better and better and better and better and better. Thank you for coming along on this drive with me. I've really enjoyed it. It's been a nice little drive round. It keeps getting better and better, like I say. And I haven't really put enough miles on it yet to where, because of all the little teething problems, to where we have full power and everything. But before it snowed, I really wanted to make this video. And just kind of take her out and have a drive around in her and let people that have never experienced what this car is like and what a 2CV is like to experience it, really. And yeah, I really love this car. You know, this is the reason why I wanted to keep this engine, is this character. And I just adore it. Absolutely adore it. And it just keeps getting better and better and better and better. Even from yesterday morning, like, the difference is night and day. So that's fantastic. Torque is a lovely thing to have. So if you've enjoyed this series, if you've enjoyed the Jolene rebuild, I really hope that you're going to stay on board and keep watching as we go into the Pandora videos, because she's a very lightweight, little nimble thing of a similar but very different ilk. You know, it's mid-engined and it's designed to go quickly, but it's very light and it's simple and it shares the same ethos, and it will drive on these roads. So it's built as kind of rally suspension and with these roads in mind, rather than, you know, racing tracks or drag racing or anything like that. And so, you know, lightweight, simplicity, efficiency, fuel economy, like all these things really matter to me. And it's going to be really entertaining and very, very interesting to see what happens with it, because I've got it, we've got it all planned, but I just want, I want to see it. My favourite thing about making anything is when it becomes a thing, and it's not just like constituent parts. You know, when the engine became a thing, then you'll have noticed that people who follow me on social media, that's down in the description if you're interested, you'll have noticed that I took loads of pictures of it. It was all over social media and stuff. When it was in bits, I didn't show you any of it, but other than videos. But as soon as it became a thing, like, that's when it really lights my passion and when it really gets me going. And so yeah, I hope that a lot of you are going to stay on board for the Pandora videos. And like I say, if you like this channel and you watch these videos regularly, make sure that you subscribe. It's the best way to help me. You know, I make 52 videos a year. I make one a week, and it's time consuming and it's expensive. And you supporting this channel by clicking like and subscribing, clicking bell icon, all of that, you know, telling your friends about the videos, that really helps me to make these videos. I don't want to ask you for money. I don't want to start a Patreon or anything like that. What I want is to keep these videos free and accessible to everybody. And I want that because when I was a young kid, you know, it was forums and all this free car internet media that allowed me to discover 2CVs and allowed me to kind of enjoy car content and really, like, got me interested and made me want to do what I do today. So I want to keep as much of it free as humanly possible. And to help me do that, please click like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, all that kind of thing. Right, let's have a bit of a... Let's keep going now for a little while. Listen to this startup, right? You know, you see loads of people at car shows with 2CVs and they're like, rah, 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 yeah? I'm a very, very happy boy. And yes, when you turn the heater off, it is quiet and comfortable and cruisy. But it is also freezing outside, and I'm toasting wearing a t-shirt. Will we get up in third? This is steep. Up in third, all the way up. I don't think I've ever been able to do that before. Oh, it's so good. I've got Diane to work. That's nice. I'm not going to go slip sliding around in this video either, because I've just rebuilt her and I don't want to have to do it again. I don't want to take this car apart again for quite a long time. So I'm being very good and I'm not going to slide it, I promise. I shall resist. That's pick up in 4th gear. Not bad, that. Kitty. One of the most difficult things about driving around here is livestock in the road. The other day we were coming home in the Diane after uploading a video and it was dark, and we're on a road like this and around a blind corner there was a bull just munching on the long grass at the side of the road. Just in the middle of the road, just after a blind corner. You've really got to watch yourself. Lots of tractors, and there's deer, road chickens. Road chickens are a real thing, by the way. They often sit in the ditch, and then as you drive towards them, if you haven't noticed them and slowed down, they actually run across the road. And yeah, ditch chickens are will strike the fear of God into you. Because you don't want to kill someone's chickens, you know what I mean? But at the same time, like, people just don't bother. And a lot of the gates consist of a piece of string stretched. In fact, we're coming up on one now. See this piece of string stretched there in the hedge? Yep, that's a gate. And that'll be used to keep a large bull in, like the ones on the other side of the road. So you really got to watch where you're driving. There's deer, there's chickens, there's cats, everything. Sheep. The occasional canard. I love when... Well, wrong gear. There you go. I love it when the French put a wiggle in the road like that. Like, Pierre, you know where the road should be perfectly straight here. Let us put a little wiggle in, just to make it more interesting. Yes, of course, Francois. This is a French road building network. Of course we will put a French tiny little wiggle in. Because everybody loves a little wiggle. Now I'm going to drive it like this for quite a while, another couple of 100 kilometers probably, and then I'll change the oil and I'll put fresh spark plugs in. And I use NGK Iridium plugs, which don't need gapping. I've left there's a link in the description to the spark plugs that I use, and you don't gap Iridium plugs. They're already really close because they use a super fine electrode that's like a needle. And that's what gives you your better combustion. Oh, it's just getting smoother and smoother and smoother. Nearly vertical, I'm 1 in 4, third gear, 50 kilometers an hour. And this is what, 3 days after we rebuilt the engine. The vibration in the shifter is driving me nuts. There's a little plastic split washer in the 2CV shifter, and you're supposed to replace the entire shift linkage assembly when that little plastic washer breaks. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to devise some sort of bush, and when I do make some sort of bush, I'll post it on social media, because it currently vibrates and it drives me insane. It just goes, ah! And only in 4th. I've turned the heater back on because I can, because it's cold. Alright, thank you all for watching. Please be awesome to each other, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.